is terror day in and day out.
Let go of people that they feel that they no longer need.
Some of those friends just can't take this journey with you.
You know, you're still putting on a certain persona of yourself. So we're going to start this episode with farewell to old friends.
That's right. Being a new year, sometimes you need to shed that baggage, man.
Definitely. Let's get into it.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are of the individuals on and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Enamored Media.
So, like you said, it's a new year. People tend to shed old baggage, leave people in the past. Mm-hmm. So, with that in mind, do you think that people tend to cling to old friends or friendships?
I think people are comfortable. And this is my thinking. People are comfortable with what they know.
Right.
A lot of people are comfortable with what they know. They're comfortable with their job. Whether or not it's a good job for them or not, they're comfortable with that. They're comfortable with an abuser spouse. They're comfortable with that because that's what they know. They feel secure. Whether or not it's terror day in and day out. That's where their comfortability lies.
Right.
And it can be the same with friends, right?
Right.
So I think that when we briefly went over this, I think that we kind of disagreed on that.
We do. I think that when it's coming, I don't know what it is about a new year, and I've never been that type of person that goes, "Oh, new year, new me." But I think what people tend to do when it comes to a new year, they are more apt and do tend to let go of people that they feel that they no longer need. Now, I'm not saying that they go about it in the right way, because some people let go of people who are still meant and serve some type of purpose in their life. However, they feel like, oh, because it's new year, new me, or I'm doing me type of deal, that they do tend to easily let people fall off. Or, oh, well, so-and-so hasn't reached out to me, so I'm not going to reach out to them no more. That type of deal. So I actually feel a little bit different. I see where you're coming from, but I really do see it in a different light.
But
though.
You're not shedding anything. You're saying they don't have the same friends. What are you saying? They just kind of fall off, or what are you trying to say?
Well, I say they fall off, but then people tend to purposely disconnect themselves, right? And like I said, I see that people tend to go about it in the wrong manner, just based off of how people have conversations on social media. They just tend to, in a sense, leave people on red, ghost people, that type of deal. Right, and that's not that. I don't think that that's the best way to go about it. However, with the coming of a new year, I do think that's what people tend to gravitate to a little bit more. So, but I see where you're coming from when you said that you do get comfortable. You know, I'm comfortable with who I'm hanging around. And, you know, some people have that motto, no new friends. So I'm not going to let go.
Right.
I don't want no new friends. So I'm not going to let go of these old people because they already know me. I already know them. I don't have to front at first, you know, in the beginning stage. To me, friendships are just like relationships. In the beginning, you know, you're still putting on a certain persona of yourself until you get comfortable. And then you loosen up a little bit more. Then you loosen up, and then you realize that you and whoever this other person is, y'all just mesh so well together. And then the friendship forms. So I do see where people aren't ready to go through that phase of life yet. You know, it sounds good to say, you know.
Well, I don't know. Again, I like you said, I see where you're coming from. I don't know if I agree. I just believe that people tend to hang on to what they know.
Yeah.
You know, for instance, one of our children didn't want to didn't want to leave the friends that they knew to create new friends.
Right.
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 That's always like a trepidation moment for a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that's a natural thing for us.
Right.
Is to once we've already put ourselves out there.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to have to repeat that process.
Right. Definitely.
So that again, that's just me. We're gonna have to disagree. But I
Right.
will say it did bring to mind something for me, and
What's
that was what are some signs when you think that the friendship is over?
You know what? A lot of people automatically think that it's, somebody has to be toxic in order for a relationship, friendship, situationship, whatever. A lot of people think that if the other person is toxic, that's the number
That's
one
when to
reason.
cut it off, right?
Right. That is
I would say so.
that is a reason, but there are other things other than that. Sometimes things just don't line up. You know, sometimes you've been friends with somebody for so long and you all are in different phases of life.
Okay.
So
okay.
things just don't tend to, you're not the same person. They've grown into who they are. You've grown into who you are, and you all just don't, you know.
Wait a minute. So you've grown into who you are, and now you want to shed that person?
Well,
like,
no, not necessarily.
You should have got rid of them before you done grew into who you were trying to be.
There are people that come into your life for a certain season, right?
Okay.
So when their season is up, then you progress on with life. You don't just string people along. It's different to be cordial with people and still wanting to check up on people and stuff like that. But a true friendship goes deeper than that, right? A little bit deeper than just, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Well,
that's being cordial.
So we're talking close friends, or you see that I think there's some differences.
Okay.
I know our people like to say, I ain't got no friends, I got associates.
Right.
Right. I know how our people get down. Right. But you got that circle, and everybody know who that circle is that you kind of share everything with. Right. So these are the people that you're referring to right now that you don't want to check up on.
No, I'm saying don't check. Don't get it. Maybe I said it wrong. I'm not saying don't check up on. What I'm saying is that you can still check up on these individuals in your life, but they don't have to be within this close circle of friendship that you once had, because they have gone and grown and developed into their life, and you have grown and developed into your life, and y'all may be just on two separate paths.
And I think I would have to say that I agree with that. Mm-hmm. I think that sometimes we just naturally kind of just like, as we come into our own persons, we just naturally start dividing. Right. But that I don't think that's kind of where we're at right now in this conversation. I think what we're trying to, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think what we're saying is you have people that it's like it kind of feels like a necessity to prune them out of your life. It's a necessity to cut people out of your life sometimes. Like you would agree with that, right?
Yeah, right.
Because you like you were alluding to, you're trying to make a change. Right. I know, and that's why I was like earlier, you were like, well, you've already made changes, and I'm like, you already made changes. You should have got rid of this person if they weren't, because I'm a firm believer. I am a firm believer. I'm trying to get our daughter to read more. I'm a firm believer that, in quote unquote, you are what you eat. And if you are what you eat, I would say that's not really a saying about what you actually physically eat. Right. That's more of a saying about what you bring into yourself. Right.
What you ingest.
So what you ingest, right? So what you bring into yourself, whether it's through entertainment, whether it's through it could be the bad foods, you know what I'm saying? Right. But in this case, we're trying to relate it to friendships. It's who you hang around.
Right.
Right. And these are basic principles. I'm not dropping any gems
Right.
on anybody with this, right? These are basic principles, but these are basic principles that are oftentimes get lost, are forgotten, are not even forgotten, ignored. And that could be even worse because you realize where you need to go. You realize what you need to do to accomplish where you need to go, and yet you still won't do it.
Right.
But when you make that mindset, when you make your mind up that you are ready to step into this new you, this new year, new you. But when you actually really make your mind up, sometimes you have to do that self-inventory that I talked about on the upbringing. You have to do that self-inventory, and sometimes that self-inventory is what you're feeding yourself.
Right.
And that feeding yourself is in the form of those friends.
Right.
And some of those friends just can't take this journey with you.
Right.
Right?
Right. So how do you know how, I guess more so, what's a reason why you're on this journey, right? What is, how am I trying to word it? Like, what requires a friend to be cut off at this point?
What requires a friend to be cut off?
I think we've already tackled toxic. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, right. So like you had said earlier, they may not necessarily be a bad person. Okay, I'm taking a spiritual journey. Let's take spirituality in it because this could explain it for others in a totally new light, right?
Right.
If I'm taking a spiritual journey and my beliefs are, hey man, I don't want to partake in lasciviousness. I don't want to partake in the cursing. I don't want to partake in because I firmly believe that these things are bad.
Right.
I firmly believe that these things aren't wholesome, aren't godly. Right?
Right.
And this could be any spiritual walk, but I'm equating it to mine.
Right.
So if you have made up in your mind that you're going to do that, and this person you have shared that with, you communicated with, they're your best friend.
Right.
They're not either not able or willing to do it. Then how can you yoke yourself with that anymore? Yeah. And that's not to say that I don't have friends who aren't Christian.
To add to that, I think that also you said able or willing to do it, but those friends that aren't willing to respect your boundaries.
And that's exactly where I was going. If they're not willing to at least respect your boundaries, right? Then you get what I'm saying? Right. That's just like if I was with someone who was like, well, I can't hang around nobody who don't want to go to the club. That's some signs right there. Those are signs. Right. Hey, I'm not saying you're a bad person for wanting to go to the club. Right. I'm simply saying that it doesn't align with my life. Right. And if I can't get with it, I gotta go. Right. Right. It's nothing wrong. It's not saying that I dislike you, that I don't love you anymore. Right. It's not saying anything like that. It's just simply saying this is not where my life is anymore. Right. And you can no longer walk with me.
Right. Definitely. I agree with that. I think that I think that for growth, for either spiritual growth or whatever type of journey, even financially, because if you got one of those friends, like it's a requirement that y'all go out all the time, whether it's to the club or just even out to eat, like, girl, we got to go hang out. We got to go have bottomless mimosas every weekend. Look, on this financial journey that I'm on right now, I can't partake in that. Right. And if me not being able to partake in that affects our friendship, then that's at this point example. We may have to let this friendship go.
Great example.
And it's not to say that friendships can't come back together later on. But right now, with where I am, I can't do that.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to pause that subscription.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to put that on pause for
definitely
at least minimum of 3 months.
Right.
Because I gotta do some self-evaluating.
Right.
Gotta get my finances together, man. But seriously, that was an example that I would have never even thought of. But it's true. Right. man, you want to spend money and make it rain in the strip club every daggone weekend like we used to.
Right.
But I ain't who I used to be.
Exactly.
I'm a totally new creature. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
And a lot of people can't see that because a lot of people can't see you outside of who you used to be.
Right.
Or who you used to were. You get what I'm saying? Who you used to were. So a lot of people can't see you outside of who you used to be, man.
Right. Right. And I think for individuals like that, because I don't know why so many different scenarios have just popped in my mind when you actually said that. There are people that can't get beyond who you were and see where you're trying to go, that they tend to try and keep you where you once were.
Right.
And remind you of what you once were. And I know that there are some people that try to hold that against you.
Right.
And I think that's, if you have a friend that's like that and you're trying to grow, that's someone you need to go ahead and eliminate.
Yep. Your mindset is what you're trying to protect here.
Right.
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 So if you're constantly being reminded, I wouldn't even coach someone to do this to themselves.
Right.
So I definitely would say don't allow someone else to do it.
Definitely.
Like, don't keep wallowing in yesterday.
Right.
You're trying to, it's a day by day thing, hour by hour, minute by minute.
Right.
You're trying to be a better person consistently every day. Why would you keep reminding yourself of the dirt that you just came out of?
Right.
I wouldn't even turn around and look back at it.
Right.
Don't even play with it no more. If you truly want to get out of it, if you want to stay in it, right, that's your prerogative.
Right.
But if you have sincerely made up in your mind that you want to move forward,
right,
then my suggestion is not to even turn around and look back at it.
Right.
Right.
Definitely. When you are, and we've said this a couple times already, but in order to really make a change and to grow somewhere along your journey, I won't say that if you're genuine, but when you're really putting in a lot of work, people are naturally gonna fall off. Even whether you intended for that person, you may not have thought, oh, this is somebody I need to let go of. Some of these people are just gonna naturally fall off. A lot of people have, in a sense, have said the prayer, God, please remove people out of my life who aren't meant to be there.
Oh, right.
I think that is a strong prayer to pray, because you really don't know who's going to fall off. And you have to be mentally and spiritually be prepared for who may fall off, because a lot of times it's the ones that you least expect.
Yeah, for sure. So I would definitely say that if you are going to try to make a change in your life, you have to also be prepared of the changes that will occur in your life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's a good way to put it.
So there are going to be friends that you don't even think are bad. You're on a spiritual journey. I don't know why I keep equating it to that, right? You're on a spiritual journey, right? You're trying to get a closer relationship with God. Your friend, who you think is ahead of you, they the ones grabbed you and pulled you into this journey. There's a chance that you could lose that friend. Right? And the reason why there's a chance that you can lose that friend is because that friend's ailments, so to speak, may not necessarily be your ailments.
Right.
Okay, let me explain. Everything is not necessarily a sin, but everything is not necessarily wholesome for the person, right?
Gotcha.
Okay, so if my drinking offends you, right, I shouldn't drink in front of you.
Right.
I shouldn't cause you and lead you into sin, because that may be an issue for you. But your friend who pulled you into the faith, there might not be a drunkard, but they like to drink a little bit, right? But they're not willing to not drink around you anymore.
Right.
And it could be, and I know that's like a simple explanation,
Mm-hmm.
but it could be, most things are actually simple that
That's
cause
simple. Yep.
that cause big mountain hill effects.
Right.
And this is one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you were going to wind up looking at your life like, dang, I made it to where I wanted to go, but I couldn't bring people with me
Right.
that brought me here, that pushed me to go there.
Right.
Or either I just felt like I needed to let them go.
Right.
So just kind of be prepared for those changes.
Oh yeah.
Just
Definitely.
know that, hey, I want to change something. So stuff got to get shaken
Right.
up.
Right.
You know?
And it can be a scary journey.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's when you have to be rooted and grounded within whatever your faith is.
Right.
I also think that you got to have some other form of support system, whether it's, other family members, other friends, even therapists, because losing a friendship is a grieving process within itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I didn't even consider that. That's yeah.
it is. It's because you're losing someone that you've been attached to. A lot of people have your heart, and to know that you have to let them go.
Yeah.
You have to grieve that friendship is no longer there. And
wow,
like I said,
man.
and it still
Wow.
just may be temporary, but still, for whatever season that you're trying to walk into, you have to grieve that.
That is. I'm gonna have to look up some stuff because there's some grieving because
Right.
you know that they say that when you lose a family member or a close one or a loved one, rather, right?
Right.
They say that you haven't even grieved that person like properly, right?
Right.
Like,
right.
like there's a possibility that you haven't grieved that person properly, and you're still holding on to resentments. You're still holding on to
Right.
things, and that I hadn't even considered the fact that you can grieve someone while they're still alive,
Right.
right? And furthermore, not to grieve a friend that you felt like or that you lost, whether it was by your accord or their accord, but that you lost, right?
Right.
Man. That's
Yeah.
that's something I don't have the answer for that because I don't have anything to say towards it, but it's just man. I didn't even consider that, man.
So it's best just to ensure that you have support, because, and also like I said, keep in mind that you're on a journey, and keep your eye on the prize, on where you're trying to go. So also, how do you go about when you're making the decision to cut people off? How do you go about ending it? Are you gonna just ghost somebody?
Wow.
Are you mature enough to
Okay,
sit
so
down
when I'm ready to end the relationship,
when you're ready to?
how do you
not
go
not
about
God taking them out the way for you, not them gradually falling off on their own. When you have to make that hard decision to end this friendship,
yeah.
do you ghost? Do you just ghost them, or do
Wow.
you sit them down and have the conversation?
Well, I think that I'm a firm believer in assertiveness, and I'm going off the top of my head with this, of course, because I don't know a proper answer to separate from a friendship, but I'm a firm believer in assertiveness, and I think that if you respect your friend, if you respect anyone, a loved one, in anyone, if you actually have respect for them, then you would sit down and tell them, right? Whether that's, I'm not really a big supporter of the phone call when you're doing stuff like this,
Right.
but whether that's a phone call, never a text, but a phone call, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hey, listen, even if y'all beefing through text,
Right.
I need to hear your voice.
Right.
Hey, listen, man. How about there's some things going on. I see that you are going in this direction. I'm going in this direction. It might just be best that we respectfully go in different directions.
Right.
Right. So being that we respectfully have to go in different directions, you know what I'm saying? like it's just about being assertive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just about taking charge. I do not believe in the whole ghosting thing unless and this is what I would say about that. I don't believe in the whole ghosting thing unless it has become a toxic situation.
Right. Okay.
Now, if it's toxic, I don't owe you an explanation. And again, this is my thought. I don't owe you I don't owe you anything because you have taken the relationship so far. It's way gone in left field.
Right.
I ain't even going over it there in that field with you.
Right.
Right. Hopefully that won't be the case for most people, right? You can just have a conversation, a grown person conversation.
Right.
But I also I don't feel like you need to necessarily cut everybody out of your life.
I agree.
They may leave and let them walk away.
Right.
If you have friends that want to leave you, let them walk away.
Right.
It's the same thing if you were in a relationship and that person wanted to leave you. Let them go.
Right.
Ain't no need holding on to that and driving yourself crazy over it. Man, it must be time for their season. Maybe they're walking into a new season.
Right.
I'm gonna pray for you and I wish you well.
Right.
And if it's you holding me back and God preventing me from something, I'm gonna pray for you and I'm gonna wish you well. Either way it go, I'm gonna wish you the best nonetheless, right?
Definitely.
So in conclusion, for me, I say be assertive, talk unless it's toxic.
Right.
Then you don't owe them an explanation.
Right. Well, I agree. Let me at least say that first.
Okay.
I agree. And I don't want to say that I'm an avid believer in ghosting. But I just know how it is to be uncomfortable with having those hard conversations, because truth be told, that is a hard conversation to have, especially if it's somebody that, it's easier when you're on bad terms with somebody to say, hey, this ain't working, whatever, we got to let this go, versus this person hasn't necessarily done you any wrong. This is a genuinely good person. They've been a benefit or a blessing into your life. But to sit down and have to tell that person, you can't walk into this next season with me, that's a difficult conversation to have.
Isn't it though?
It is so difficult. So my immediate mind would say ghost them.
No, I mean, what occurs to me as you say that is, you're gonna tell me I can't walk in. What, I'm not good enough?
Right.
Like, I'm your best friend. I've been through hell and hot water with you, and I'm not good enough to walk into this new season with you.
Right.
See, that's why I go back to say everybody don't need to be pruned out of your life, because it's like you ain't even give them an option.
Right.
You just cutting people out.
Right.
You didn't even say, "Hey, look, man." That's why earlier in the conversation I was saying you need to talk.
Right. But they may, like you said, they may be that type of person that can't aid you on this journey. I know of people that are avid weed smokers. Like, in order for their life to function, they got to smoke weed, right?
Okay.
If I am on a journey where, and I'm not a weed smoker at all, but if I'm on a journey and I'm trying to steer away from that,
right,
I have to make the hard decision to say, because I know more than likely 95% of the time, if I'm around them, they're gonna be smoking weed, and so therefore I'm going to be tempted.
Right.
You then have to decide, can I continue to be around this person?
Yeah, I definitely believe that there are times when you definitely need to prune people out of your life, and move forward into that new you. But I just also think there are times where you may be jumping the gun. Right.
Right.
And I think that that's a discernment that you're gonna have to make.
Right.
And that's why I kind of always illustrate that you need to have you need to have some mentors too.
Right.
You need to have some mentors. You can't really make it through life without having mentors. And I'm talking about people that influence you outside of your parents,
Right.
right? I'm talking about I have a few mentors, but I'm talking about those people that really they care about you. They're a little wiser, they're a little older, right?
Right.
And they care about you enough to call and check on you, to send stuff every once in a while to say, hey, look, man, I was just thinking about you. How are things going? They genuinely are concerned.
Right.
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 You're gonna need a few of those people. If you are lucky enough to come across someone like that,
Right.
then I suggest you hold on to them and respect them.
Right.
Right. Because I say that to say that they can kind of guide you along this journey of your change. Right. Because you don't necessarily need to cut everybody out.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
But a lot of people you do.
Right.
And a lot of people you're gonna lose nonetheless.
Right.
Whether you wanted to lose them or not.
Right.
So that was a great conversation.
Definitely.
I didn't expect it to go that way. And I just simply want to say
well, while you think about yours, I'm glad that I'm keeping my circle of friends that I have right now. I'm not cutting anybody off in this new season. Now, should God need to move some people around, so be it. But you appreciate, as much as we talked about cutting friends off and cutting people off, you appreciate the friends that you do have who God has placed in your circle, in this season while you're on this journey. So I want to say, like you said, everybody's not meant to be cut off, but appreciate who you do have within your circle.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Farewell, old friends.